What's up guys, it's Rowan here from AOSTV. So when I was in year 12, I really wanted to study combined law at Sydney University. But that required an ATAR of 99.6. That's right, pretty difficult. And so I worked really hard throughout year 12, and I can still remember the day when the ATAR results came out, and I got my laptop out and I checked the results. It was that moment of, did I get it? Did I not? But what do you do if you don't get your ATAR? What are your options and how do you still get into the course that you really want to study? I've got 3 tips to help you do exactly that. So tip number 1 is to leave your dream course as your number 1 preference when you submit your preferences for university. Now, why would I recommend that? Well, what most students do is they get their ATAR back, they realise, well, I've missed out on the ATAR that I was hoping for to study that course I really want to do at university, and then as a result, they change their preferences. But what's interesting is that over the last couple of years, the Australian government has deregulated university placements. So in the past, there used to be a cap or a limit on the amount of students each university could take. Now that's why the ATAR was actually important, because if you could only take 200 students, which 200 do you take? The ATAR would help navigate that. Now what's happened is that universities can take really as many students as there is demand and their infrastructure can support. So it means that from a university's point of view, they really want to take as many students as possible. So last year, so 2016 for example, what that meant was that universities offered students places. 1 in 2 students, in fact, were offered places at universities, wait for it, up to 10 ATAR points below the cutoff. That's right, 1 in 2 were offered positions up to 10 ATAR points below the cutoff. And that's because ultimately the university wants as many students as possible studying on its campus, studying its courses. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that if you've missed out on the course by a couple of ATAR points, even up to 10, you may actually still get an offer to that course if you maintain it as your first preference. Because what will happen is the universities will go through all of the first preferences and make offers. And if there's not that many other people that have put it as a first preference, they start moving down in terms of ATARs. So you may find that you actually still get an offer. So whatever you do, don't go and change it and put another course with a lower ATAR cutoff as your number 1 preference. Keep your dream course there, if you're within the sort of 5 to 10 ATAR points range. Keep it there because you never know what's going to happen. Now, it doesn't matter if you keep it there, because if you don't get an offer for it, it doesn't hurt, because you'll then just get your second preference offer anyway, which may be the other sort of course that you were thinking about doing with the lower cutoff. So that's tip number 1. You're going to be tempted, but don't change your first preference. Leave it as your goal dream course, because you may get surprised and you may find that you have an offer waiting for you. Now tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to identify alternate pathways into your dream course. Now what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you really wanted to study a Bachelor of Commerce at UNSW, which requires an ATAR over 90, but you got an 87 ATAR. So you look at it and you think, well, there it goes. I'm not going to be able to study my dream course at UNSW. So you've got a couple options here to look at alternate entry. The first is that you could decide to study a Bachelor of Commerce at another university with a lower cutoff. So that could be doing a Bachelor of Commerce at Macquarie, perhaps UWS or UTS or Notre Dame or ACU. There's many other options available. But here's the kicker. You do 1 year at that other university, you get great grades in that first year of university, and then you do an end-of-year transfer. So you transfer across from the Bachelor of Commerce at Macquarie to the Bachelor of Commerce at UNSW. Now the great thing about this is that it means that you still graduate with your Bachelor of Commerce from UNSW, and additionally you haven't lost any time because that first year is transferred directly across. So that's a great strategy, but it does involve doing well in first year uni, and it uses a mixture then of your ATAR and your first year university results. Now, the second option that you have is instead of going to a different university, so Macquarie studying a commerce degree there, you could study another degree at UNSW and then transfer across at the end of first year. So for example, you might go and study a Bachelor of Arts at UNSW and take a whole lot of commerce-related subjects within your arts degree. Do really well, and then at the end of the year transfer across into the Bachelor of Commerce. Now the good thing about this is that it enables you to stay at the same university. You don't have to change universities, so if all your friends are going to one university, you can go with them as well, even if you've missed out. The challenge with this approach though is it does mean that you're not going to be able to get all of your commerce units done, for example in a Bachelor of Arts. So you'll only be able to pull some of your subjects across and provide credits for it. So you will be a little behind in your commerce degree when you go into second year. In saying this, there are so many ways that you can over winter and summer school catch up. So really at the end of the degree, you should be able to catch up and graduate at the same time with your Bachelor of Commerce from UNSW. Now these are just two examples of two different pathways, but my suggestion for you is to look at your degree and go, okay, is there a similar degree at another university that I could do, that my ATAR gets me into and then transfer across? Or is there another degree I could do at my favourite university and then do an end of year transfer into that degree? So the third tip is to put everything into perspective. Now, one of the things that you've probably heard a lot is that the HSC, the ATAR, it doesn't matter when you get out of school, no one cares about it. And they're right, that's why you've heard it all of those times. It is important though in that it does give you some options. But as we've discussed, there are a lot of alternate pathways in. To put things in perspective for you, the average ATAR is 70. So yes, while there are many students that might do exceptionally well, 98, 99s, etc., the average is 70, and so hopefully that provides you with a little bit of perspective. I think the really important thing though to highlight here is that you are not your ATAR. It can be really easy to get the ATAR back, not be what you're hoping, and take it personally, take it to heart, and to tell yourself, I'm stupid. Like, I'm not worth anything, I'm only worth my ATAR, all these other people are smarter than me, they're gonna be more successful than me. And truth is that one of the things you've got to understand is that the HSC optimizes for students that can do well at breadth. So you've got to do well at 10 units, 5 subjects. But what happens if you're exceptional at one, let's say physics, and you suck at English? Well, tough luck. Overall, your ATAR still may not be great because you've done poorly in English, but you've done really well in physics. So one of the things that we've got to realize is that the ATAR is all about breadth. But what does the real world actually require? Well, the real world's the entire opposite. As you develop your career, you get rewarded for depth. So the greater mastery you can develop in a couple of very specific areas, the better you go in terms of career success, the greater promotions that you get, the greater wealth and earnings that you might earn. So what's interesting is that the HSC is about breadth, but the real world is about depth. So the point I'm trying to make here is that doing well at the HSC or not, right, doesn't actually guarantee future success. It's not an indicator of future success at all. In fact, all it is an indicator of is that you've been able to work pretty well across a broad range of subjects. So you've got plenty of opportunity at university to dive deep, pursue those passions, those things that you actually are interested in, and then build a really rich and rewarding career from there. So it really is true, the HSC and the ATAR, once you're out of the system and you've got your options, you're in university, it really doesn't matter. So it shouldn't be something that you use to define yourself. If you do get it and you're not happy, instead use it positively. Use it as a kick up the bum if you haven't done as well as you would like, to say, you know what, I'm going to change this for university when it starts to matter more. I'm going to change this for my career when it really matters. So instead, don't let it define you. Instead, use it as power and fuel and motivation to do something amazing. So, how did I end up going? Did I end up getting the goal ATAR, the 99.6, or did I miss out? Well, it was interesting. I remember opening the laptop and there on the screen it said 99.6. And I didn't believe it. I thought I had made it up. I thought I'd imagined it in a reality because I'd been dreaming about this the entire year. But in fact, I hadn't. I'd got the exact Atar cutoff to study the course that I wanted to, combined law at Sydney University, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But you know what's interesting? Since then, it's almost 10 years since then, what's interesting is that other than school and high school students who are at school, no one in the real world, no one at university has ever once asked me, hey, what was your Atar? And not once has it been important. So, with that, guys, I hope that this video has given you some encouragement. If it's made a difference to you, or you've got a friend that you think really needs to hear this because they're stressing out, share it with them. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to help you. Additionally, I'd love to hear, what is your goal course? What's your dream course that you're hoping to do when you finish university? As I said, mine was law. I'd love to know what yours is.